Welcome to the Dixie Doggers podcast. We're here to share knowledge and heritage. We hope y'all enjoy. Southern Cross. It's the best cut gear in the business. We run it on our dogs. Hit up Dave Williams at Southern Cross Cut Gear. Go to www.hogdoggear.com. If you're looking for Brahma and Brahma Cross cattle, Marc Rankin with the Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company, he specializes in them. He is the man for the job. He's based out of Oglethorpe County, Georgia, and you can contact him at 407-832-2077.
If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties, 678-791-3483.
I wasn't there 30 minutes, man. Went in, paid for the buggy, signed one piece of paper. He drove the buggy around there to my trailer, drove it on the trailer. We loaded up and left.
Damn.
The man is $6,000 cheaper than anybody else around.
Huh.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yes.
No,
so
you can't beat that, man. That's crazy cheap.
I picked up a North Star Ranger.
Hell yeah.
And I will tell you that AC is a big difference.
Oh, I can imagine so. That's
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's why we started back running out of pickups. You know, we run the little Toyotas, but at the same time, you got heat and air, you know.
Yeah, man.
You know, and where we're hunting at, we got a pretty good road system. And where we can't get to, well, hell, it don't matter if you got a buggy or four-wheeler or anything, you're not going because it's a bluff, you know.
Y'all have to come back. Y'all have to come down here. I joined a new club this year.
Oh,
It's been a steel hunt only club for 30 years.
Oh, yes, we need to make a trip.
8,000 acres, 14 members. I am the only hog hunter.
Lord of mercy.
Hogs don't run. They will stand in the ditch and watch you pull your dogs out to put on them.
We might have a chance, Nate. We might have a chance to catch a hog.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I told my buddy. I said, I guess I'll put a pack of woods dogs back together. He says, "Bud, if you wanted to run them pin dogs," he said, "I promise you, you don't need no more dogs than what you got."
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to put my pin dogs in the woods. I got too many gators around here.
Well, I was thinking, saying you got some pretty good diggum pin dogs going on already. So what we'll do, we already got it rolling on the record thing anyway. But as everybody, I'll go ahead and open the show up. As everybody knows, this Dixie Doggers podcast coming to you. We got Mr. John on Spud. We got old Spud on the horn with us tonight, kind of catching up on some stuff. His how's business going and taking over the ABDR and then actually just about taking over the whole damn bay pen circuit with these dogs you got going on there. So I wanted to get into some of that, like you said, with having that club. Man, we've been running Chaos and Junior in the woods, and they do just as good as any dogs that we've got.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this Raven Jip I got, her sister is as good a woods dog as you want to get, and her sister actually won. They hit a hole in the two puppy last May.
Yeah.
In Downsville, so she's a good dog as a man needs. She can win in the pen, obviously, with her and DB winning the old and young at Earls. But she's a rig dog. Anytime I'm going anywhere with her, go to the woods to work or whatever. She's winning the whole time and never been hunted.
Junior's the same way. Never hunted him, and he would just start barking in the box. We thought he was just barking in the box. Well, he was rigging. So yes. you think it's from them just being like, because we go to these events and we got these dogs staked out for days, 2 or 3 days at a time, and they're waiting their turn to run, but all they do is smell hogs.
Right.
So
they know what a hog is. They know what it is.
Yeah. So the winding ability and the winding part, I think that just like comes second nature to them because they're down there. If that wind shifts, you know it yourself, man. You can hear all them dogs just blow up.
Right. Right. Well, you know yourself. If you don't hunt food all the time, you don't look for supper.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're walking across the yard and your wife's in there cooking,
yep,
and you catch a whiff of it, you know what it is. You know what's coming. Same way with these dogs. They know that smell. They know there's a fun time to be had when they get up next to whatever smells like they're smelling, which is a hog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to. That's a
So
good analogy.
yeah, they'll naturally win. They do it, and it's just what's in them. But these dogs, man, I'll tell you, with the bay pen thing, Joey, I'm ecstatic.
Uh-oh. I don't know what happened.
Get him back on the horn.
Let me call him right back, y'all. He got so damn excited.
Hell,
You got too damn excited.
I don't know what happened. I was talking and it went off.
I don't know, buddy. It just cut off. But anyway,
well, y'all can edit all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, with the bay pen stuff, as I've acquired my first bay pen dog at Uncle Earl's last year. My first Uncle Earl's was the year before that, and I decided I liked it enough. I went to every baying since then.
Yep.
And I watched and I listened and I learned. That way I would know a little bit. Then I acquired my first bay pen dog, and she's hit a hole almost every time I've entered her. And I've acquired Cole and the DB Cooper puppy, and so now they've won apparently more than I'm supposed to kind of have won. I don't know, the rate it's supposed to go, but I was always taught that, when you come in, you give your best effort.
Exactly.
And I've been blessed enough to pick some good dogs up and have them for mine to compete with. And we're doing pretty good. We've got a pretty good, collection of trophies so far. And this May will actually be our 1-year anniversary.
Now, the first dog you got that was Raven?
Yes, sir.
I thought so. I was making sure I was writing the names down. I knew Cole. I knew all the names, but I wasn't 100% sure Raven was the very first one. So with Raven, you had her a year, basically.
Yes, I've had her 1 year.
Yeah, because Earl's had just been over with, 2-3 weeks maybe?
Yep.
Somewhere in there. And she made a good showing there. Now, before that, what events had you placed with her? You placed in every event?
Yep, she won second in the 2 puppy in last May.
Mm-hmm.
And then the October show, let's see, she won second in the 2 puppy in October. She split second and third in the old and young in October. She won the old and young with DB Cooper at Uncle Earl's. And then she won the 2-dog novice in January with DB Cooper. And then she landed 8th with Cole in the 2-dog open at Earl's.
So she's doing really good.
She was the biggest factor in me getting the Rookie of the Year last year in one show. Really, one show. I ran her for one event in May, and then I had to leave due to a family emergency.
Yep.
And didn't get the rest of the baying. And then in October, she had won enough that it put me ahead of everybody in their first year, and actually she was very instrumental in me getting Rookie of the Year.
Good deal. That's pretty nice.
Yes.
Yeah, she does good, and oddly enough, we won the old and young with her and DB Cooper, who is out of the same jip. They are both they were both whelped by Mr. Lynn Robertson's Dixie dog.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, one is she is out of Dixie and Blue Man, and the DB Cooper dog is out of Dixie and their Elmo dog.
Yep. It's good stock. There ain't no doubt. And that's the thing. You got to have something to start with. You know
Yes,
what I
sir.
mean? You got to have that foundation to get going. And you started with top notch stuff for the bay pen stuff. I mean,
Yep. And the little DB dog's done pretty good.
mm-hmm.
He won second with him and a little young jip I got from Donnie B from SMK,
Mm-hmm.
and they won second in October in the puppy. And man, I've just been real blessed to have acquired some really good dogs. It's not me, honestly, because I still don't completely and fully understand. I had to get with Randy the other day to break down all these points things and all of that. And I was proud to see that he enlightened me that I guess, as the kennel of competitors, animal housing is, we're sitting about the number 5 spot.
Well, you can't beat that.
That's good.
And I had no clue about the points. So, I had to ask people to find out. And I still ask a lot of questions. I've got a little thing. It's my foundation is what I call it anyway. And it's the people that I can call. I've got 3 or 4 guys that babe regularly and have for years that I can call.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll answer my dumb questions, and they'll enlighten me and show me things. And Randy Durrell is one of them. Johnny White and Donnie B with SMK. I've been Jake's ear all the time. And I ask because I need to know. So, one thing I can say is during the old and young run at Uncle Earl's, Randy Durrell stood behind me, kind of coaching me, knowing how green I am, through my run on how to, do the best for my dogs.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize till after all that, when we won it, that he was competing in that competition too.
Yep.
That's a sportsman.
It is.
That's a man with great character, Yes, Randy is a good friend of mine, so I have nothing bad to say about him. But not too many people do that.
No, there's not many that would do that at all.
Yep. So when he was awarded the Sportsman of the Year award, I thought it was a pretty good decision on whoever awarded it.
Yeah, I did too. Randy helped in many ways the same way when we first started going out there to those bays. He would, I noticed he would come up and watch the dogs run, and then he would be like, "Hey, he said, I was watching this. If you guys would try this or maybe do that." He didn't want to step out of, step on nobody's toes or anything like that. He wasn't just coming up saying, "Hey, y'all need to do this, blah, blah, blah." He was, because we would ask, like you said, we were still green to it, not green to dogs, but like I was new to that in a lot of ways. And he was very helpful. Several people were. A lot of those guys get a bad rap because they are so competitive. But man, but at the same time, we're competing. It wouldn't be very much of a competition if nobody competed.
We'll be back after a quick break.
A quick thanks to supporters of the Dixie Doggers podcast: Southern Cross Cut Gear, UC Hunting Properties, Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company, Animal Housing Solutions, Boars N Broads, Ada Y Transport, Crockett Taxidermy and Processing. Exactly.
It wouldn't be worth the piss. But at the same time, you got your fellow man there that's going out of his way to help.
Yeah, and he does, man.
Yeah.
He's helped me a lot. And Johnny White, Johnny White got me to go ahead and make the trip to my first Uncle Earl's.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, I am very grateful. Because I love what I do with these dogs. But I know dogs. I've, raised dogs all of my life. And as we've talked about, in the past, I grew up with field trial bird dogs. So, I know animal husbandry as far as taking care of the dogs, canine health care, canine conditioning I know a little bit about, and I had to learn these bay dogs because they're a different breed, so I have to learn really breed specific little tricks and stuff that help
Yep.
the dog. But it's all about the dog. At the end of the day, it's all about the dog being healthy. I had a man that knows of my, that I know how to condition and stuff like that and get dogs in great physical shape for these baby and stuff and things like that. And he called me the other day and actually asked me what I feed. He said, I really don't expect you to tell me because it's such a competitive sport. I said, buddy, I'll tell you exactly what I feed my dogs. And I told him, and he said, wow. And I said, well, it's really, at the end of the day, it's not about me and you.
Mm-hmm.
We're at a competition to see who has the best dog.
Yeah, that's right.
It's, to me, going to a bay pen competition is kind of like, well, getting in a fight. It's like court.
Mm-hmm.
You're going, but you ain't sure how it's going to turn out.
That's a fact.
So all you can do is give that dog the best chance he has. And what I've learned is you stand at that gate and holler all you want to. That dog's going to do about what he's going to do, and so is that hog.
Mm-hmm.
But now, granted, I am still new, and I may form an opinion that's totally ludicrous to veterans, but it's because of the lack of knowledge that I have about it. But I'm learning pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
And like I say, I've been blessed to get some pretty good little dogs. So we stay in the competition. I love it because of the atmosphere. You've got yahoos in every crowd, but for the most part, everybody in the Bay Pen community has welcomed me in. If you need anything, people are there to help. I just like the atmosphere around the Bay Pen.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not able to go to the Southeast Texas Bay Pens and stuff. I know there's one coming up, and forgive me if I pronounce it wrong, but it's El Perro Loco, I believe.
Yep, that's it.
We actually sponsor that guy. I may not ever be at his Bay Pen, Mr. Travis, but we sponsor him because they're doing what we love too, and every part of this sport that you can strengthen will make it last longer.
Yes.
So I believe in supporting 100%. The Boars N Broads guys, dude, I love them. Ryan and Carter, they're my friends. If they're in a bind, I'm in a bind. You can believe that.
That's right.
So everybody, and I don't know if you've heard of them boys over at DC Doggers, but I think they're okay too.
I don't know about that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, we hope for the best anyway. But no, y'all guys are great, man. I know, Joey, me and you have stood around for hours and talked to this.
Yes.
And it's the same common interest as dogs. It's all about the better dog.
That's exactly right. Like you said, there's a lot of people that there's quite a few of us that sponsor these events, and we travel a lot. We go all over. Like you said, Carter and Ryan and them do it. You do it. Pat does it. Johnny White, he travels all across the country. And there's just it turns into a big family, and not necessarily just the guys that sponsor, but, and it doesn't have to be monetary when I say sponsor or support. Supporting it is bringing your ass there and showing up, have a good time, shake hands, and, walk around and talk to people. Don't pass judgment on somebody until you know them for a while. And shouldn't pass judgment at all, but you'll be able to know them a little better. But you hear all that on Facebook, Bud. You've heard it time and time again about, I don't go to Bay Pens because of this or that, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I used to be one of those guys. I didn't think I would ever go, but man, I enjoy it. It's a good atmosphere.
Man, it's pretty fun, and the thing is, the people get along for the most part. You've got people that get upset, but you got knuckleheads everywhere in the world. It don't matter where you go. There's a knucklehead here or there, but you just have to. You can't let one bad apple, spoil the whole bunch. So, the people usually that are being ugly are not long lived around a bay pen anyway. They'll fade away. They'll go away and just quit showing up.
That's right.
But you talk about traveling long distances. And I listened the other day to y'all's podcast with Jake, and y'all were talking about Mr. Sean Kirby of Bustin' Bush. Let me tell y'all something. That is a great guy. He's actually ordered some kennels, and we'll be carrying them out to Colorado to him.
Sweet.
Here before long, and I guess it'll be publicly put out there on the Dixie Doggers podcast for the first time right now. But I am venturing into opening a second Animal Housing Solutions location.
Oh, that'd be great.
It will be in Village Mills, Texas.
Cool.
Sweet.
So that's the reason I was out there this weekend, was to try to do some of the groundwork. And I've got some great help out there that's helping me. So we're going to open up a Texas division so we can service, a larger area, because honestly, even Animal Housing Solutions, the business, is focused on, it's all about the animal. I am glad that people love their kennels that they get. But at the end of the day, I often ask my customers, how do your dogs like them?
There you go.
And so it's about the animal. And so we're going to open another spot in Village Mills. I hope to be producing kennels by the end of August. And we can service that area. And like I say, get to people like Sean Kirby, just way up in Colorado, a lot easier.
I think there'll be a lot of people in New Mexico and Arizona that's going to be interested in that, in Colorado, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
There's a lot of houndsmen out there, boy, that run bear and lions.
Yep. And I'll tell you,
the sky's the limit, as Ryan Rankin would say, to the moon.
Yes. Well, it's like when I went out there to Texas this past weekend, I didn't know it, but I got a welcome surprise. Old Dan Lewis showed up.
Sweet.
Got to hang out with him a little bit over the weekend, talk dogs.
I like old Dan now. He's
he's
knowledgeable.
Yes, he is. And I love, like, the Bible says, iron sharpens iron. And even in any subject, when you get people that are like-minded together, you sharpen each other's wits on things. You can sit around and talk dogs, and you learn from others' experiences if you listen.
Yes. That's what you just said. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And
that's right.
I find myself talking all the time, and everybody that knows me knows I talk. But there's a lot of times where, like, if we're standing, like you said, if it's me and you and 1 or 2 other guys, we're all standing around, everybody takes turns listening. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. If there's 4 of us, 3 of us are listening, and then 1 person's talking. Because we're all trying to learn from each other, because we know that most of us that are in our group or our age group, we've got 30, 40, 50 years experience individually, and there's always something that you don't know and that you could learn if you're open to it.
Well, I had a lady and she grew up dirt poor, and when she left this earth at a very old age, she owned 72 rental properties. I respected her, and I knew her for most of my life. And she told me a long time ago, she said, if a man is talking, he's saying something he already knows. But if a man is listening, he stands a chance to learn something he did not know.
Yep.
And that was a large piece of advice that kind of hit me and stuck with me. And I try to pay attention, and I try to learn everything I can, because knowledge is power.
Yes.
And if you learn every day.
And that's where that comes in handy when you're starting a new venture, like you with the Bay Dogs.
Yes.
It's a different game than the field trial bird dogs or the old school bulldogging. it's different, but in a lot of ways it's the same. Like you said, if you got a healthy dog, K9 nutrition, but there's sometimes you can overdo it and it doesn't work the same. You know, you might have to, that dog might not need to. Yeah. So me and you were talking and you were telling me something about it and you were like,
I learned that.
Yes, that's something. And that's something I learned too. I learned
I took a dog that was doing great. Well, with my experience in, getting one in shape, I went on and went full-fledged, full send with it. And I had this dog feeling the best he's ever felt in his life. And when I took him to the baying in January, he called out every run.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out you can make him feel too good.
Yes.
So I took the same dog that did not make one mistake in October and called out every run in January, backed off of the conditioning part, put some weight back on him, and he did not make one mistake at Earl's.
Yep.
He placed 3 times. He split 4th and 5th and got 8s in the 2-dog. You know what I mean? So he took home 3 plaques. Technically. Right. So you put him back to where he was before and he performed. Every dog has their spot.
Yep. I agree.
We've got one. Oh, well, Chaos.
Yeah, Chaos is the most finicky one.
Yes, if you get him a pound too light, he's going to hang him.
Yep.
But you get him where you think, man, he looks great. Well, you need to put 2 more pounds on him.
Yep.
When he gets to where you can see all the striations in his muscles and stuff, it's going to be a train wreck. So you need to get him a little fat, and so he'll slow down a little bit and go in there and actually bay. And that was one of the things that we had to learn along the way as ourselves. It was, which of course he was a young dog and we didn't know what his suitability was, what worked best for him. That was just something we had to learn along the way. And
I watched the Chaos dog bay.
He did pretty good at Earl's.
I like that dog. I like him. Now, granted, I'm still young in it, but I saw something in him that I really liked.
He's starting to grow in. He's starting to become a dog now. He is a 3-year-old, and like we have placed several times with that dog. Several times. I could honestly, I don't know how many times.
He's one of the few dogs where I feel like coaching him actually makes a difference.
Yeah,
with me, for sure.
Yeah, if you let him go in there and do his thing, and this is up until recently, you could tell he'd start to get a little lazy.
Yeah, or he'd get too rough,
or he would get too wound up, and you can actually talk him back a little bit. And I was one of them. I was like, I never talked to a dog, period.
He just happens to listen.
Drew Todd's the one that done it. With it, Drew, they come up to it.
Yeah, Drew Todd was the one that.
That was the last time he was in Downsville.
Yep.
That was the first time we carried Chaos there. He said, when he starts to stand up, you need to talk to him.
Yeah, just like Randy was doing you, Drew was doing me.
Yeah, and then Randy told us the same thing. Randy come over there. He said, you need to get on him at certain times. And we had so much help, man. It's so much support with it. It's crazy.
Yeah. Like that's being able to read the dog, and that all that comes from experience for sure.
Yeah. You got 10 or 12 main guys there, and every one of them could see exactly what was going on with that dog, and they'd never laid eyes on him. They just watched him run that one time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that experience there, and they were actually very free-hearted with it. They were like, hey, they would help. They were open to help us.
Yes.
Some people take it the wrong way, I think. You know what I mean? They don't look at it like they're helping. They think somebody's getting in their business or trying to tell them what to do. Well, like I said, it ain't much of a competition if nobody's competing.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And that's what, I made a statement whenever I first started that, I meant it in a very humble way, but I've heard somebody say, oh, I just love coming to these shows and being able to compete. And that's a pretty humble way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
But all you're going to do is compete. You know, I wanted to show up and win.
Yep.
You know, I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that in cocky or arrogant. I'm as humble as I can be about it. But why would you get into it just to come and compete? You know,
Yes.
I want dogs that can win. And when you're standing in a winner's circle among other winners, you know, there's a success with that group. You know, and being part of a successful thing is what everybody wants to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely want to be able to. If you can go in there and consistently hang with the big dogs, I guess you'd say, well, then you know you're feeding something good. You got something to work with, and like you said, you're in the competition, but you're not just going to compete. You want to win. I don't know anybody that's a serious competitor that doesn't want to win. Like you said, that kind of defeats the purpose, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I feed dogs every day. You know, I work my dogs. I keep them healthy. I keep them, make sure they're worm free. I've got a great vet right there. Right next to my shop is our local vet office, and I work with them pretty regular on making sure my dogs are completely as healthy as can be. I put in the time. You know, I'm out there in the rain feeding up if that's what it takes, whatever it takes. And why would I want to settle for just being able to go to the show?
Mm-hmm.
You know, as an iron worker, I was an iron worker for 29 years before I started animal housing. And we always said, because of iron workers, we're kind of a proud bunch, but we always said we didn't come to see the show, we come to be the show.
Yes, sir.
And you know, it's not out of arrogance or cockiness. It's just that, to me, it's a confidence. If you back it up, it's just being confident.
Yep.
So, you know, I don't see why anybody would want to put in that much work and not at least get to celebrate being at the top at some point or another.
Mm-hmm.
You know, reach for the prize.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Now,
what Jamie Johnson say? It's lonely at the top.
Yes. It's a bitch at the bottom.
You know, so it don't have to be, you know, a dog eat dog cutthroat. You know, but it's a competition nonetheless. But you can help each other out, because at the end of the day, sure, I want to win, but if you got a better dog, then I want the best dog to rise to the top.
Yes.
Period. You know, and it often it does with Jake's system. Like I say, I don't get out to a bunch of the other bay pens, so I don't have any, you know, idea how things are done. But with Jake's system, the judging is very fair, I think. And I've caught what I thought was a bad call. My dog called out in January, you know, with a half a second left.
Yeah.
But a half a second means your dog called out.
I mean, that's how it goes.
So I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I'm going to buy some kids' toy dress up Superman capes. And then when people get mad about the judging, they can come get a cape and be super mad.
There you go.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't know enough to say that judge is dead wrong, because I can't judge. So until I can do that man's job, I have no opinion.
That's a fact. If people would put themselves in that position, and I don't mean like theoretically, I mean like go sit and judge, go judge a whole class. You know, go judge 50 runs. It don't seem like it's nothing. It's a little different. than when you judge 100 or 300 runs.
336 runs in the two
Just
dog.
in the two dog. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. When you do that and it's gone from, and then you look at the bay offs and all the time that's there, look at how many hours that they're there and that they're sitting there doing that job. I'm 100% a mistake can be made on both parts, and it can go both directions. And I really believe that none of them are doing anything maliciously by any means. Nobody's doing that. I believe it's as fair as it can be to the best of their ability. Like you said, there's times where have I thought there's been a bad call? Sure. Everybody has. But there's different angles and different points of view. And if you can't see, if you're not sitting up there from the same angle and the same view, you don't know what they've seen.
Right. And, I know these guys and women that judge, they set out to do the right thing in every decision, and they're not meaning, if not, they wouldn't be in that position.
Yep.
And they're pretty honest and they're pretty fair. So, do I know enough to question them? No, I do not. But I do know this. Every time I have ever had a deduction, after my run, I can go ask that judge what happened, and they'll gladly tell me and help me.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of help. Honestly, I tell people, yes, we have won more than most people within their first year do. We've been very blessed that way. But the fact is, I still ain't got much of a whole big clue about what I'm doing in a bay pen. So much so that I don't know, were y'all there on Sunday for the best of the best?
No,
I think so. I think we were packing up.
Well, I had seen the best of the best ran last year at a race and just watched it. And I knew, that you couldn't talk to your dog and all that. And it was pretty cool, But so I put my cold dog in it, and I got him up there, and I ain't said a word to him coming in up to the bay pen because I know you can't talk to your dog. And I also know that when you go to release your dog in the bay pen, if the hog is turned rear end facing you, you want that hog to be turned around if you can.
Mm-hmm.
And so I let my dog go and sent him in to the hog. And the hog's facing the corner. So I just hollered, "Hey, hog." And they said, "Hey, man, you can't say anything." And I said, "I didn't talk to my dog." And they're like, "No, that's your run, bro. It's just, you can't speak at all." So I didn't really know. Yeah. My ignorance cost my dog his run.
Okay.
So now, if you hear somebody walk up to me and say, "Hey, hog," that's probably the joke.
Yeah.
But and that's how green I am, mm-hmm. Because I didn't know. I knew I couldn't talk to my dog, so in my mind, I didn't talk to my dog.
That's right. You were hollering at the hog. Yeah.
Right. And as soon as the man said, "Oh no, you made a mistake. You can't do that," I just said hog out, and that was into my run. Did I fuss? No. I made a mistake out of ignorance, so I learned from that.
Yes.
But that is an example of how how the ignorance that I have in it. So I'm still learning, but I'm just very thankful to be doing what I am doing and having the success that I have experienced because, it's an uncommon success from what I understand. And I'm not going to lie. I say it out of, being as modest as possible, but bro, I'm holding my foot on the gas.
There you go.
No brakes, all gas, and I believe that I'm going to give it my best full send every time. And if I come out on top, I come out on top. If not, we go back, figure out what we've done, and run it again.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can do. Just keep pushing. Keep pushing on.
Yeah. Yep. And then, we had I guess Randy, I had talked to Randy in the past about the American Bay Dog Registry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd approached him several months back, and asked him if he ever thought about selling it. And we talked about it briefly. We was at a rodeo, and the night went on. We never talked about it again. And we were at Earl's, and he inducted Miss Lulu's center dog into the Hall of Fame. And as he finished that induction and the little ceremonial part of that, he said, while we're on the subject, the ABDR is, needing a new set of eyes, some new blood, and so on and so forth. And he said, so now your new owner of the ABDR is Spud. And that's the first I knew of it. It was a complete surprise to me, but he's entrusted me with something amazing and awesome. And we're going to try to move forward with it. And we got some plans on, just trying to freshen it up a little bit and make it a little better and a little easier to use.
Shoot, yeah. Well, explain to everybody what, the listeners that don't know what it is, walk them through it, let them know what it is so they know what to look for.
Okay, the American Bay Dog Registry is a registry. It is not breed specific, okay? It recognizes accomplishments. Well, first off, it recognizes legitimacy of the dog being a true working dog. It is verified that these dogs that are registered are true working stock. They are bay dogs, no matter the breed. And you can register your dogs through this. It keeps track of your pedigrees. You can call in and get reports of your pedigree if you need it, printed out, sent to you. You send in, you can register your dogs, your pups, your litters, and it recognizes and it records the accomplishments of these dogs. So it's kind of like almost a running record keeping system for people that say, hey, Chaos has, he's 11 years old now. I don't really remember what all I won with him. What are his accomplishments or where is his standings?
Okay.
So a dog wins so many, and he's eligible for a grand championship status. Okay. Once he reaches so many of those levels of grand championship status, he's then eligible. Don't mean he's going to be put in it, but he's then eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
To be completely and fully recognized for his accomplishments. And then, all of this would be on your generational pedigree paperwork as well. So you can look back and plan your breedings. You can use it to research breedings. We'll keep up with everything. And hopefully me and Randy have actually talked in not in depth, but a little bit about trying to maybe sanction some of these tournaments to verify and record accomplishments of these woods dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because he's baying in a pen or if he's baying in the woods, he should be recognized equally for being, we are the American Bay Dog Registry. So we want to register your bay dog, whether it be Mr. Don Coggins, Blake.
Yep.
The dog, he lays a 10 down in the pen pretty regular. He's a Malinois. That's a bay dog.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter the breed. We want to recognize them and keep record of their accomplishments for generations to come. Because if we're not working to pass this down, why are we working?
There you go.
It's our heritage. It's where we're from.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean that's a good thing. That's something that I think that we definitely need for the bay dogs. There's you got all these other registries, the big names, AKC, UKC, PKC, and you have to go to those certain field trials to gain those accomplishments. And like some of these dogs that we have, like you said, they might not be a full-blooded papered Catahoula or full-blooded papered blackmouth cur. They might be mixed up, but there's a pedigree there, and it's been a bloodline that's been established over the years. It's a way to get that dog recognized.
Exactly.
I think it's a great thing. It needs to catch on.
Yes, it does. It does, because a man with a great dog should be recognized as that.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I was told this a very long time ago by a legend in dogs. And this man told me, because I asked him where I could get a good dog from, and he just replied, "A good dog is where you find it."
Yep.
And it's true. You can follow bloodlines. You can follow producing lines. You can do math and statistics and everything.
I don't know what in the world that happened again.
Huh.
It ain't on our end, is it?
No.
I'll call him right back. We'll get him back up.
Your call has been forwarded to an audio.
Well, it forwarded that time, y'all. We'll try it again, y'all. There we go. Howdy,
Hello?
howdy. Hey.
Hey, so anyway, like I say, you can do statistics and all that, but at the end of the day, it's what God gives you.
Yes. And having that, having said that, I know quite a few people that have had extremely good coon dogs, but they weren't like we were saying that, they're not registered through UKC. They were just a what they call a grade dog. You know what I'm talking about? Just old backyard bred up dog.
Yep.
But the best coon dog I've ever seen has been a grade dog. And you can't do anything with it, really. You just got a good coon dog.
Yep.
But you can't put its accomplishments down. All you can do is word of mouth, and you can say, my dog did this, my dog did that. So basically, this is what they've been needing for a long time. And I don't mean it for the coon dog world, but for the hog dog world, the bay dog world. Now you have a way to get those accomplishments, and you don't have to go and do some, like I know a couple of individuals that have some dogs that have so many titles. It's insane how many titles they have, but they're all through, the NKC or the AKC or UKC, and they're purebred dogs. And then they have another dog on the same yard, same person, and it's a mixed up dog, but it's way better, and it has 0 accomplishments written down.
Exactly.
So.
It's like, okay, look at your breeding programs.
Mm-hmm.
If you could pull up a pedigree and the grandsire and his sire are, say, register of merit,
Mm-hmm.
which means they're known to produce. Okay. They say POR, producer of recognition.
Yes.
These titles are given to these dogs that have been proven to reproduce themselves. If that's attached to your pedigree, you can find your patterns. You can find your better breeding percentages. You can make educated decisions on your breeding program. One, save a lot of unneeded dogs or culls,
Yep.
if you would.
Mm-hmm.
You up your percentage. The better the percentage is for you to breed great dogs, the stiffer the competition at world-class level will be.
Yes.
One, you're bettering the dogs, you're bettering the man's yard, and you're bettering the sport.
I think that's where we're at with a lot of this stuff right now, Spud. I mean, you look at, and I know you're still new to the bay pen stuff. I'm still new to it fair. I say new. I've been going a long time, but as far as like really competing, but I have seen I have seen it change just in the past few years, where used to it was just a handful going to a bay off. And It's not that it got any easier. The dogs got better. They're more consistent. Yes. These people are taking time. They're putting the formula together. Like I said, like Johnny White. Johnny White's been messing with these things, this certain line right here, for several years, and they've got it down. He's
got it dialed in.
He's got it dialed in pretty good. He knows that the bloodline is there, and that it's going to produce. It might not be every single dog, but it's a high percentage. That's what it takes to be successful. And I feel like if you can take that and then you have it with the ABDR and you have it on file, that also goes back to saying, okay, well, I want to breed to so-and-so. Well, it's going to be a stud fee. Whereas before, if Spud had Cole and Cole had no recognition, but we knew he was a good dog, I would pay whatever you ask because I know him. But if somebody else doesn't know the dog and they can't see the history of him, well, they'll be like, I'm not even going to breed to that dog. But now if they can see, like you said, you got POR, you got ROM, and he's a producer and he's been doing this, generation after generation. Well, now there's another outlet there. Now you got a stud fee. There's ways to make this and introduce revenue into it as well.
Yes, because it's everything costs nowadays. Lord knows.
Yes,
it costs $100 to leave the house.
Yeah,
but at least what you're investing your time and effort into.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep track of these. These dogs are awarded. When their offspring produce, then it makes it a lot easier and a lot less wasted effort in non-productive breedings.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can better your chances, remove dynamics that work against you, then the more chance you have at a greater success rate.
Yep.
Because we all know that not all make it.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And some dogs, just because they're great dogs doesn't mean that they produce.
Right, exactly. Yeah, some dogs just don't.
Some of them don't produce. But then there's some that they might not be the greatest dog, but damn, you'll have a bitch dog that produces and throws champs consistently.
Yes. I feel that Dixie dog Mr. Lynn has is a producing gene.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, DB and Raven are both out of her to different males. And they win. They're really good dogs. They do really well. So I know she produces. I believe, there's a few out there that I know are producing in the short time I've been in it. And as I'm in it longer, I'll see more. I believe Flat Creek's got some good stuff out there.
Oh, yeah.
The Gator dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Hammer dog is known to be a producer.
Yep.
And just certain, I don't know a lot of them. I'm sure there's a bunch of them out there that people may be listening thinking, well, he didn't do. I don't know them. I've just started. You know what I mean?
But, same way, Spud. I'm just now digging into that.
But I'm picking up on it pretty good.
Yep. Tango.
Yes, the Tango dog.
Tango dog. I know that one.
Well, to me, that must have been a producing line because
any of the Weems, the Weems stuff, it said that's really, really prominent.
That's like if I'm not mistaken, I'm just speaking out here, the Tango dog has a sister that Randy had that produced pretty good.
Yeah.
Jake's Tango dog.
That's right.
Let's see. I'm not sure which one it was, but I've got some of that down here.
Yeah. See, and I don't know. Like I said, I've talked to Jake and Randy, in the past about some of this stuff. And I know there's a few people that they're really, really sharp on them bloodlines.
Oh yes.
I need to be sharper on it, but I just don't.
Well, now that I've taken over the registry, I'll get polished up pretty good on it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some stuff out there that's still producing to this day. So yeah, June. Randy, the June Jip of Randy's and Tango are littermates.
Okay.
And the June Jip produced a dog named Coon, supposed to be a pretty good dog, which is what Cole's out of.
Yeah.
Yep, Cole's off of that stuff. So, and I like Cole. I like him a lot. He's a real hot dog, so I can't get him too fiery or he'll catch out.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's right, he don't make a mistake.
So on your dogs, like doing the exercise and the nutrition and stuff like that, what do you? And I know you can't throw it all out there, but like for listeners who are wanting to maybe get into some of it, what are some of the tips that you would give them or maybe a little bit of the regiment to get them on the right path to get their dog where it needs to be?
Well, the first thing I do is if you don't want to take your dog to the vet, just get a stool sample. Take it, have them do a fecal exam on that, check for parasites in the dog. You had to make sure the dog is parasite free and healthy before you could even begin any type of exercise or anything like that. You want to make sure the dog's healthy. So you want to, keep on a good worm regimen and use your heartworm preventative. Like me, I'm in Florida, so my heartworm preventative, is definitely a necessity with the huge mosquito population that we have. So you want your dog healthy to start with. Then, hand walk your dog. Mm-hmm. Hand walking on a leash. That starts them out. It gets them used to being messed with regular. Dogs are creatures of habit. Some people use treadmills. Some people swim them. Not every dog's going to take to the same exercise. That's right. Me personally, when I want to know where my dog is, lung-wise and stamina-wise, I get out the old side-by-side and cut the dog loose on the dirt road, and we take off. Mm-hmm. And I let that dog run at its own full pace, because usually when you first turn them loose like that, they're going to blow out. Mm-hmm. And you let that dog run as long as it wants to. And when that dog breaks stride for the first time, consider that his lung capacity. If that dog runs for 2 straight minutes wide open, and you're going to be in a 2-minute run, a 4-minute run, a 6-minute run. I've seen the goose dog go up to 8 or 12-minute runs in a bay off. Mm-hmm. So your dog has to have that much lungs in them, in my opinion. And I turn that dog loose, and when it breaks stride, that's where it's at. That's when he decided, okay, I'm starting to blow out. I need to back up a little bit and conserve some energy. Mm-hmm. And, if you can, and I've had some of them that'll run 10 solid minutes wide open. That's a long time.
Yes. that's a long.
And generally, if you let him do that and you condition him on further from that, he's going to catch out. I know from experience. And that was Cole would do that right back in the late December whenever he was exercising. This was daily, man. He would just run. He loved it. And every day is like he felt better and felt better and felt better. And now I know that you really don't quite want to do that.
Yeah.
You
not
can get them too comfortable being wound up.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you have to bring them down. And it's psychological too. They can't be in their mind. They cannot be, the giant walking in a bay pen. They need to be just a warrior. And that's just me. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm this veteran, because I'm not. I am still within my first year and a rookie. So,
Well, now
but conditioning the dog.
you're not a damn rookie to dogs, though, Spud. That's
No, sir. No, sir.
that just to this stuff. But that, and that's the
Right.
thing about it. You've been messing with dogs a
All
long
my life.
time. Yes. And so that like I said, that's one reason why, like with the nutrition, exercise and stuff, I think you got a lot to offer to a lot of listeners out there, because that is probably one of the main things that we get asked as far as like healthcare and stuff like that, is like, man, what can I do to get my dogs in good shape, and what do I need to feed them and all that stuff. So,
Right. Yeah. The most, like I say, the first thing you got to do is parasite free, healthy. All right. If you're working with a healthy dog, then you're good. You're ready to go. On a good, hard working day with these dogs, I will feed canned mackerel is great. There's all kind of benefits to that.
mm-hmm.
Brown rice, boiled brown rice is an awesome source of carbohydrates and energy. Cottage cheese, shredded cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
The cheese will give animal proteins, calcium, phosphorus, especially like with the cottage cheese. It's somewhat of a probiotic in itself.
Yes, sir.
So, and then you alternate the cheeses. Typically, I would feed some boiled chicken breast. The amount is according to the dog's weight, kind of, sort of. The half a cup of brown rice, and then some cheese, shredded cheddar or cottage cheese. And I would mix all that up in a bowl, and I'd mix their dry food kibble in with it. And the kibble is really how you regulate your dog's weight to hold it steady. Of course, feeding all that extra, you don't want to give them as much kibble. But if you watch them close enough, and you do it far enough out from your bed, so you can regulate it. If you make a mistake, you can get them back on track in time. But just to feed them that is a great supply of the protein from the fish or the chicken. Deer meat is a great food for a dog, a canine athlete. It contains creatine in its purest form, and a canine athlete takes to a dose of creatine 10 times the benefit a human gets out of the same dose.
Mm-hmm.
So deer meat's great to feed them. I know people that feed chicken raw. They just feed a raw diet, and that's great. You know what works for you, use it. But for me, I like adding the protein, the calcium and phosphorus, the carbohydrates for energy for tomorrow's working day. And, it works. And then what I do as I get closer to the baying, I pull everything just pulled back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're used to putting in all of this work. Now you start tapering this work down, and eventually what they have in them is going to build. Every day it builds a little more because they do a little less work towards the end. And then you've just got to learn to time what they call a peak. And I'm sure Mr. Joey understands what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
So you want your dog to peak during competition. The thing is with these competitions is like Uncle Earl's is a week long.
Yeah.
So you've got to hold a dog high for a week. And it takes a little experience and some learning, but it's possible.
Yep, it definitely can be.
You don't work him as strenuous, near as hard as you do for other competitions. But for the bay pen, you need your dog to be able to go in there and bay over and over and over and climbing times,
Mm-hmm. That was, I think I was kind of in the same position you were in when I first started. It was like I was going through a keep for something else that I thought would carry over. And I was like, oh yeah, we can't do that. 'Cause like you said, this goes on for, and not just Uncle Earl's, but even at the Downsville Bay, you're there not
4 days.
I was going to say not 7 days, but you're there 4 days. And when you want that dog to peak, it's a little easier at the Downsville Bay than it is in Uncle Earl's.
You got less of a time frame to hold the dog up.
Yes, and I mean, I see a lot of people, especially people that are, I'm not going to say, I will say a lot of them are kind of new to it. They get there, they run their dog, and they'll go out there, fill it full of water, and pump the food to it. And I'm like, oh Lord. You know, they're like, I want to feed him up real good and heavy. That way he's got plenty of energy. I'm thinking, ugh. You know,
he's working with a belly full. It's actually kind of a negative, I would think.
Yes, without a doubt. It's and I would pull mine back so much when, like I said, when we first started going, it's like I wouldn't even bring dog food with me if it was only for a couple of days. You know.
Yeah, well, you know,
I would bring just regular. I tell you what I was doing. What I found was easy for me was cheap dollar store bacon.
Yep.
I just take a pack of that, give it to each dog, and they were good after a day. You know, that's all we needed. I needed something that'll hold a little bit and then slide right out.
Right. I tell you what else is actually good, and it's an old dog man's trick.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to hold your dog over and you don't want to fill him up with feed, you can actually give that dog 1 to 2 slices of wheat bread.
Yes.
And the dog won't drop his weight.
Mm-hmm.
It'll hold steady for about 48 hours.
Yeah.
But then it's going to drop drastically once that's gone.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the wheat bread does, but it was taught to me from an old timer.
Really?
Yes.
I've never used the wheat bread.
He won't use
it. I've used straight fat. Like you can go to your local butcher shop or deli or whatever, and they'll have you can get a pack of fat. And it doesn't cost very much. And we would take and put it in the sandwich bags, freezer bags, you know, not the big gallon, but the regular, I guess, be a quart. And I'd put that in there, we'd freeze it, we'd stick a few of them in the cooler. And then we did this on our hunts. When we used to go, we would travel and we'd be gone and hunt for 3 or 4 days at a time. And like same difference. We didn't want to fill them up. And so, you know, of course, the first day they ran, we didn't feed. Well, the second day they ran, we would give them that whole thing. And all it was straight fat, straight energy. And they would hold their weight really good. And by the end of the 3 or 4 days that we were there, by the time they got home, you needed to feed them up good because they were going to start dropping. But like you said, it would hold them over really good. And they had plenty of energy because that's all it was, is basically just burning fat. They were running off straight energy.
Right. And they need it, no doubt. You know, some of the bays, well, I know the August, the little 2-dog shootout is at night because of the heat. But water carries heat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, man, I don't want him to be, I want him to get water. I don't want him to get dehydrated. You find your own line. You find where you want to be with your dog. But water brings heat. I don't guess a lot of people know that.
It sure
but
does.
The wetter that dog's system is, the faster and hotter he's going to get. I'm not saying dehydrate your dog, but they don't need quite as much water as most people think.
That's correct.
You know, when it's a hot time and you're baying and you pull that dog off and you go wet him down and cool him down in a pool of water and all that, you're hydrating that dog. He can soak some of that up through his skin.
Mm-hmm. Sure can.
I tell you what, a dog is, their hydration levels can be reacted from the atmosphere they're in.
Mm-hmm.
A dog in an air-conditioned house is naturally drier than a dog outside.
Yes, sir.
And that's because the air in the house is drier.
I agree.
Okay. there's so much, they can be affected so much that way. So the water level in a dog, the wetter that dog's system is, the faster he's going to hit what they call a heat wall.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets to his heat wall, he's going to be hot. He has to recover. So when you're running these dogs and working these dogs, you want to work on recovery time, because the faster he recovers, the faster he's ready to go again for the next bay run, the bay off, whatever it be.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a bay and Johnny White was in it. The bay off, man, it went up to 12-minute rounds. And even at Uncle Earl's, with DB was 12 months old. I was concerned when he made the first perfect 10, him and Raven, of the old and young. So we were naturally the first run of the bay off. So it was 109 dogs, I think, in the original running order. It was reduced to 27 for the first bay off round. And after that, it was reduced to 5. And they ran 2 minutes, 4 minutes, and 6 minutes. And when I looked at the clock, when I got to the gate and it said 6 minutes, I said, oh, hell, here we go. We're going to see if I got them ready. And, man, they went in there and they gave it up. They laid down a perfect 10, which was the only 10 of the bay off, that last bay off round. And they weren't blown out. They weren't hot. But one thing else, they weren't sopping wet neither.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to just regulate their water, and it helps. They're not as hot.
That's good. That's something I think a lot of people really needed to hear, especially a lot of people that are still new to the nutrition and getting a dog in good shape. Because like right now, and not just in the bay pen stuff, but in the hunting world of anything, if you're running a dog, this is a very, very tricky time. You got dogs that's been, some places are still have cool weather, man, everything. Like today was phenomenal. Last Friday was 90 degrees and it was miserable, And so from day to day, the weather's changing so much, but in order to get that dog in good shape, to have it perform at a very high level in the woods. I mean, all this stuff can be used. Every bit of this stuff. You know? So a lot of the guys out there that are hunting, especially some of the younger guys that are getting new to it, they don't have anybody they don't have an old timer that they can just call and talk to or bend their ear. They listen to this podcast and listen to guys like yourself. So that way they know what to do. And that's why I'm so adamant on getting you and Pat and other guys like that to try to give out some information like that. You would be amazed how many young men and women contact us daily and say, man, I had no idea what I was doing until I started listening to you guys.
Yes.
And the guests that's on there. Because it doesn't have anything to do with Dixie Doggers, except we're just a platform to bring the information out there. The information comes from all of you guys. I try to learn something each time. And so I really appreciate you doing and talking about these things, because I really feel like this is going to help some of these guys keep their dog from having damn heat stroke that first week where it bumps, 80, 90 degrees and they're not used to it.
Yes. And your dog's temperature, I always, kind of joke about it, but they come with a temperature gauge.
Yeah.
That dog's tongue's hanging out. Yeah, he's breathing heavy. He's getting warm. That's fine. But a dog's tongue is a lot longer than you always usually see. Yeah. And it'll come on out. And especially when you run them down and they get hot, that tongue will hang way on out there. And when it's hung way out and it's flopped off in the corner of the back of their mouth, falling off the side, that dog's tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's wore out. Cool him down, get him cooled off. He'd be good to go here just a little bit, but get him recovered. And that's the biggest thing is your recovery time. You know, because if you've got a short recovery time on your dogs, they're in the utmost of health.
Yes, sir.
They're ready to go. They're ready to hunt for you. I've seen times where I've asked my dogs to hunt 4 and 5 days straight and give it up for me, and they will. You
Yep.
know, if you've got them in good shape. So it's like a car. If you put trash in the gas tank, you ain't going far.
Mm-hmm.
You know, find you a good quality feed. I'm not trying to plug no certain brand, but I feed Showtime Gray Bag. It's a 3122. It's actually got uh, some ingredients in it. From what I understand, it kind of helps the dog run a little cooler. I don't know what it is that's in it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's what I've been told. I like it. It works on my dogs.
We've used it before. We never had a dog run hot on it.
I left Uncle Earl's with 7 plaques and a couple belt buckles, and everything I ran was fueled by that Showtime.
There you go.
You know, so I like the food. It works for me. Somebody may say, "Oh, that ain't no good," yada yada. That's fine. Find one that works for your dogs. It's not about your preference. Sometimes it is about the pocketbook.
I
Dog
tell
food is getting expensive.
that it is,
Yeah.
and we've been fighting with this Deadgum Garmin and dog tracking systems, and I've tried to explain to people. They keep saying, "Well, you're just trying to sell a product." I said, "I don't sell dog I don't sell any products anymore." I said, "I prefer my Garmin, but I don't have the performance that I need. I want performance. I gotta have performance over preference. I prefer to feed a dog food that's $15 a bag on the pocketbook, but I need that performance, so I gotta have that $50 a bag feed or whatever it is, whatever it works. You know, that's where you have to be with these things. Like you said, you prefer that gray bag Showtime because of its performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? It works.
And honestly, I mean, I can get to work on a bicycle, but that Silverado sure does make it a lot nicer.
You ain't lying.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all in what you choose to use and what you expect to get out of it. So, you know, if you invest the right into your dogs, they'll give it back to you. Man, I seen a video of a little kid, barefoot, blue jeans, no shirt, a little kid, probably somewhere up in the mountains, because I asked him about his little rabbit dog.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, how does he do so good with him? And he said, listen to your heart and listen to your dog. And that was a young one that. And it's the God's honest truth. But while we're, while we're talking about folks that need to know the information and all, I've got a friend of mine that lives here in Mayo, Florida. And I just wanted to shout out to him. Look, he is a faithful listener. Every time I talk to him, he's talking about the podcast.
Thomas.
So Justin Rutherford is his name.
Oh, Justin.
He's a hog hunter.
What's happening, Justin Rutherford? Yes, sir. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy, and I talk to him pretty regularly. I've known him since he was about 5 years old.
Really?
Yes, sir. Me and his daddy are real good friends.
Well, man, when we make the trip down there, we're gonna have to visit with old Justin some too.
Yeah, he likes to stretch a hog now. He lives for it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
And got a pretty good bunch of dogs. But yeah, we just hang out and y'all got to come down here. I've gotten into a new lease this year. That's been a steel hunt club for a great many years. So if y'all know how that works out.
Oh yeah. We need to.
They don't run.
We need to come do that before you get them all stirred up too bad.
They don't run.
We need to. I need the dumb ones. I need the dumbest hogs there. That's the ones I can catch.
You sound like old TJ. Him and Randy. Have y'all seen the video of that big giant bar hog they caught the other day?
Yeah. I see.
I spent the weekend up there with him, and TJ told me he is not going hunting with Randy no more unless he's got 35-pound broke leg hogs, and then he'll go help him.
Yeah, them old big hogs, that's a lot of work.
He said that big bar hog like to kick his butt.
What was it, 330, 335?
I'm not sure. I don't remember, but I know Randy he was a great big old hog.
I think Randy told me 335. I'm pretty sure that's what he had mentioned.
He was a grown hog. It was a bar, and they've got some pretty big ones. I was riding his lease with him this weekend.
Yeah.
And we come across a Copenhagen can size track.
Dang.
And Randy just smiled. He said, "Yep, he's back." So I guess that's one that he had seen previously. But yeah, it's ready to get into it, man. There's a whole lot of camaraderie and friendship in the sport of hunting and vaping.
That's right.
And it's just a family, and everybody's got each other's back. There's friction there. There's going to be anytime you put up a competition.
Sure.
You've got, people with their own opinions, and well, it's their opinion and they're right because it's their opinion. If don't believe me, ask them. So, I mean, there's things that need to be said, but there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
And now
I witnessed, cheering for a bad run, and that to me is bad. But
it is. I've seen a few things like that, but the good far outweighs the bad.
Yeah, but and I'm gonna tell you the best advice I can give any of these guys getting into dogs.
Yes,
is figure out a way to get your better half strung out on it too.
Yeah.
Because then it won't matter how many dogs you got.
There you go.
Or that new side by side you had to get. She'll be in it with you.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of peace in the house. So if you can get her on your side, I got Raina. I got Raina where she loves these vaping dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't care how many I get.
Hey, and ain't nothing wrong with that, brother. You got to pay.
If it works, it works.
That shows that you've learned a lot in life. If mama's
honestly,
happy, everybody's happy.
Yeah, the last two dogs we acquired was because of her. So she's putting them on the yard too, so she can't say nothing.
There you go.
And yeah, that's the best piece of advice I can give to anybody getting into dogs is make sure your spouse is into them too. That way, you'll never have to argue about how many dogs you got.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, Spud, on this, what do people need to do to get into the ABDR? Just contact you, and how much is it annually?
We have it's per.
Or is it per dog?
Per dog, you want to register your dog. If I'm not mistaken, it's like $45 a dog. Now I'm just now getting my feet wet with it.
Okay, so you still need a little
more
more
time. Have to bear with me.
Yeah.
No, you can. We do have a Facebook page that Randy had going, where we can be contacted on it. You can join that group on Facebook as well, and we're currently working on going in and setting up the website so it can just be done online. And you can, you'll be able to pay for your paperwork online or mail the check or money order, in, and we'll mail your paperwork back to you. And so we're getting it all set up now. We've got an office in my office building there dedicated just to the registry.
Good deal.
And so we're getting it all set up. And I'd say within a month or so, we should be able to start sending out people's paperwork as they request it.
Good deal, buddy.
That's great.
All right. So well, man, we appreciate you coming on here again, talking with us. It's always a pleasure to touch base, and you've been a big supporter of the dog world in general, but you've always supported us, and we really, really appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
We've only had a few people that's really stuck it out from the jump, and you're one of them. And man, you just don't know what it means to us to have that kind of somebody that'll stick with you like that, that'll believe in you.
Oh yeah.
Well,
we first started this shit, it was just a couple of little guys out here talking shit about dogs, and that's still what it is, but we've grown a lot.
Yes.
It's because of y'all.
Well, we have to support it. We're all we got. You know what I mean? If we don't stand up for ourselves, nobody's going to stand up for us. So we support y'all. Well, we believe in what y'all do to begin with. Everybody that works at Animal Housing Solutions believes in y'all at one point or another, whether they listen regular or not, have listened to the podcasts. All my guys, I tell them, look, man, we're backing these people. Y'all should know about what you are working towards and backing. So even the employees know everything we support.
Amen.
They get into certain aspects of it. They join in. They show up at a show or two. So all of our employees are involved. We're all dog men in one sort or another. We're feeding working dogs. We have one of my employees has a bulldog named Spanky that comes to work every day. He hangs out at the shop every day.
It sounds like a good dog named Spanky.
Yeah.
I like that.
He is. He's a happy dog. He's got that lip curl when he sees you and he's walking up to you. And delivery people, they see a bulldog walking up to him with his lip curled up.
Oh, yeah.
The first thing they want to do is panic.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he just wants you to tug on that glove he's carrying in his mouth and play tug of war or pet him. He's just like an employee. You just tell him, go on now, we got work to do, and he'll mope his way on off. But we love dogs. It's about the animal. At the end of the day, it is about the animals. And with y'all, it's the same thing. The dogs care is first and foremost with y'all. You want to educate your listeners.
That's right.
I want to support that.
Good deal, brother. We appreciate you so much, Spud.
Yes, we do.
And, I guess we'll be seeing you here in a few weeks at one of the bays somewhere.
Yes, sir. We'll be in Downsville in May, and I'd like to make the one in I believe it's in Nixon, Texas. I think.
Yeah, that's a good bay. It's a long ways down there for us, but I mean, same thing with you. It's a long ways, but it's a good bay. We've made the trip. It's just a long ride.
I'm going to make one because I actually talked to the guy Travis.
Yeah.
And told him I wanted to try to sponsor a little bit, and he said this time I can mail the check. Next time I'd have to hand it to him in person.
Oh, well, okay, he got you then.
Yeah, he got me. That's good people in my opinion.
It is.
And I've met Travis in the past. Back before Slade passed away, I had met Travis.
Yeah,
I'd actually been down there and met him, and he's a really good guy. He's all about his youngin. And he may be somebody you want to talk to on your podcast one day. He's got some good stories about how he continued it after Slade's passing because of his son.
Yeah. We need to get with Travis on that too.
For sure.
Yeah. So he's a good guy, and but I appreciate being able to get on here and maybe, most of my knowledge is maybe common knowledge, but I may say something that somebody didn't know and it helped them out. And if it helps the dog, then that's what it's all about.
Amen. Well, Spud, you take care of yourself, brother. And
all right, brother.
Tell everyone we said hello, and you know where we're at if you need us.
Yes, sir. Y'all be safe likewise, and if y'all need us, just give us a shout.
Amen. Yes, sir, see you, amigo.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Thanks, Spud.
Well, that fella right there is as good as it gets.
Hard to beat.
Yes, he sure is. It's kind of funny. He's one of the few people that, like, I ain't gonna say few people because I've been called out before, but he called me out pretty quick one time. I thought it was kind of funny. I didn't answer the phone 2 or 3 times when he called over the course of a week or maybe 2 weeks. And he told me, he said, hey, if we're going to be friends, we're supposed to be brothers that tight. He said, you at least let me know what the hell's going on. And I, yes, sir. And he's right.
Yep.
So if you're out there listening right now and you got somebody that you supposed to be your brother or sister or whatever, stay in touch with them a little better than you're doing, because there's always more room for improvement. I'm one to talk because I mean, like, there's a lot of times I'm busy and I shouldn't be that busy, but life happens. And same thing like my buddy Rusty. I try to call him all the time and hardly ever can get a hold of him.
Yep.
He won't hardly answer his phone for me.
I saw it. It went straight to voicemail.
Yeah, it went straight to voicemail yesterday when I tried to call him. So, Rusty, if you're listening, buddy, I still love you. And you can call me sometime. I'll answer. So, till the next time, Dixie Doggers, we gone. We see y'all.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that episode. If there's anything or anyone you'd like to hear on the podcast, or if you'd like to come hunt with us, don't hesitate to contact us at dixiedoggers01@gmail.com.